Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. And this is Sisters of the Guild from the Encyclopedia of Freemasonry by Albert G. Mackey. Sisters of the Guild. The attempt of some writers to maintain that women were admitted into the medieval confraternities of Freemasons fails to be substantiated for want of sufficient proof. The entire spirit of the old constitutions indicates that none but men, under the titles of brethren and fellows, were admitted into these Masonic Gilds. And the first Code of Charges, adopted at the revival in 1717, declares that the persons admitted members of a lodge must be good and true men, no women, etc. The opinion that women were originally admitted into the Masonic Guild, as it is asserted that they were into some of the others, is based upon the fact that, in what is called the York Manuscript number 4, whose date as affixed to the roll is 1693, we find the following words: "The one of the elders taking the booker, and that he or she that is to be made mason shall lay their hands thereon, and the charge shall be given." But in the Alnwick manuscript, which is inserted as a preface to the records of the lodge at Alnwick, beginning September 29, 1701, and which manuscript was therefore probably at least contemporary with that of York, we find the corresponding passage in the following words: "Then shall one of the most ancient of them all hold a book, that he or they may lay his or their hands upon the said book," etc. Again, in the Grand Lodge Manuscript number 1, whose date is 1583, we meet with the same regulation in Latin thus. This was no doubt the original form of which the writer of the York Manuscript gives a translation, and either through ignorance or clerical carelessness, the il vel illi, instead of he or they, has been translated he or she. Besides, the whole tenor of the charges in the York Manuscript clearly shows that they were intended for men only. A woman could scarcely have been required to swear that she would not take her fellow's wife in villainy, nor make anyone a Freemason unless he has his right limbs as a man ought to have. It cannot be admitted on the authority of a mistranslation of a single letter by which an A was taken for an E, thus changing ill into illa, or he into she, that the Masonic Guild admitted women into a craft whose labors were to hew heavy stones and to ascend tall scaffolds. Such never could have been the case in operative masonry. There is, however, abundant evidence that in the other guilds or livery companies of England, women or sisters were admitted to the freedom of the company. Herbert, History of the Livery Companies 11th, page 83, thinks that the custom was borrowed on the constitution of the companies by Edward III from the ecclesiastical or religious guilds, which were often composed of both sexes. But there does not seem to be any evidence that the usage was extended to the building corporations or Freemasons guilds. A woman might be a female grocer or haberdasher, but she could hardly perform the duties of a female builder. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment. And if you can please consider donating to Wars of the Roses, links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.